Hello, and here we are at Perfectly Paranormal, episode 155. My name's Anna Schmidt, and I'm here every week to share with you true paranormal encounters and information about devils, demons, and dark energy beings that no one else talks about. And today, you are going to hear 24 ways that demons can get close to you. We're going to look at 11 obvious possibilities and 13 not so obvious possibilities. Things that I've experienced or clients have told me about, and I've gone, I need to share this with people. And I don't mean the sit next to you at the movies type close. I mean attachment, go everywhere with you type close. So we're going to dive straight into this. We're going to look at the obvious possibilities first. And they're not in any particular order. They just come out of my brain this way and I write them down. So, 11 obvious possibilities of how demons can get close to you. Number 1. Large pools of negative emotional build-up. Now, most of you will know what that means if you've been listening to this podcast long enough. We create emotions every single day, positive and negative, sometimes more negative than positive. All of it stays in, on, around and attached to all parts of us. Our physical body, all the systems in our physical body, chakras, meridian lines, your energy field, your consciousness, the whole shebang. Emotions such as grief, fear, paranoia, distress, hostility, and resentment. Can't forget that one. These are some of demons' favourite emotional vibrations. They really do pump out a lot of energy. Everything that we create emotionally, mentally, physically, all creates a vibration. And it vibes out to our body, if you want to look at it in a hippie way. It just emanates from our body. And that is what we attract back to us. So if you're creating a lot of grief because you've lost someone in your life, you haven't had counselling, you want to deal with it yourself, or you've just swept it under the carpet, you don't want to deal with it, it's too hard, too painful, you're going to be creating grief 24/7 until it is dealt with, until you talk about it and you get help and you work through it. Once you start working through it, the grief vibration disappears. And then the grief entities that like that vibration, they're just like, we're going to go elsewhere where that vibration is. So number 2, unresolved trauma buildup. Now this is similar to emotional buildup, but it's traumatic experiences, it's actions. It's not the emotions, well, they're part of it, but it's the actions that people do that leave an imprint on their mind, their emotions, their mental state, physical body, and spiritually as well. Like I just said, demons feel the vibrations. If you're got a vibration of recreational substance energy, or alcoholism, or hoarding, or gambling, or verbal abuse, or physical violence, it's not what you do once. So we all get angry. I might get angry at the chickens for, digging up some of my vegetables. But it's a one-off. And it's not real anger. It's more a shock and a little bit of annoyance. When we're talking trauma build-up, this is constant, continuous types of build-up of energy that we create for particular reasons. So number 3, this is pretty obvious, but I'm going to say it anyway. Satanic and occult practices. Whether you're just dabbling in a few spells, or whether you're going right through into the occult, the really heavy end of the scale, the occult practices, the satanic practices, the blood magic, the chaos magic, all that magic, that creates a vibration. And it calls on entities. A lot of the really heavy stuff calls on dark and demonic entities to do the bidding and give the people the desires and the wants that they want. But they don't really realise what they're doing is that they're actually creating a deal with the devil, which is a big, big problem. So number 4, addictions. Now, addictions kind of tie in with number 1 and number 2. And it's because of the low mental and emotional state, and sometimes physical and spiritual state that people are in. and what life experiences and traumas lead them to do to start activating their addiction, whatever it is, whether it's drugs or alcohol or eating too much or gambling or hoarding or whatever it is, that is going to create a vibration. Addictions are a band-aid fix. Now, I'm not a doctor and I'm not a mental health professional. This is my pure experience from being an energy worker, working on my own addictions, paranormal addiction being one of them, and food, especially dark chocolate, to working with clients with marijuana addictions. So I'm only looking at this from an energetic perspective. Addictions really do pump out a vibration. I talked to Hilly the poet. I can't remember what the episode was, but if you went back through it, you would find it. He had a massive issue with some marijuana demons because he made a deal with the devil. You know, his ties in to number 3, which is satanic and occult practices, willingly as a teenager because he had an issue that he thought he could get some help with without actually realising the consequences of what he was doing. We all say and do things without actually realising what can happen. That's actually going to be an upcoming episode 156, which is next week, which is my 3-year celebration of podcasting. So we're not going to get sidetracked. Let's move on to number 5, activities of the spooky kind. Now, we're talking more paranormal investigations, watching paranormal movies, or paranormal documentaries. All this creates an invitation for these entities to get closer to you. You're showing paranormal places like haunted hospitals, asylums, homes. There's all this sadness and grief and trauma that's there. There's going to be demonic entities there because of number 1, which is the large pools of negative emotional build-up. But you're going into these places, and if you are vulnerable or you have trauma of your own that you haven't dealt with, say it's grief. Grief is a great example. It's not great, but it is a top-of-the-scale example of what attracts demonic entities. You're going into a paranormal investigation and you're full of grief because you've lost someone that you love. You want to talk to the spirits and environments. That is going to trigger in you the grief from the person that you have lost in your life or a pet that you've lost in your life. And the demonic entities are going to take advantage of that. They love opportunities. A dear friend of mine, Reverend Mother Leslie, calls them opportunists. They will trigger us in any way that we are vulnerable. She's very, very knowledgeable about what these demons can get up to. So paranormal investigations, I love them, but then I'm a paranormal addict. Confessed here, I know I am, but it is my work. But it is also a lifestyle because these demons know who you are and what you're doing and what you get up to. So if you go on a paranormal investigation and they will get close to you and they'll maybe pinch, punch, poke, prod, push, give you electric shocks, try to shove you out the door, down the stairs, but they know how to get close to you. They will trigger what you fear, what you're afraid of, what worries you, where you're weakest. A good example is my physical body. I have a physical disability of the muscular kind. So sometimes I will get the pushes and the pokes and the prods. They generally don't bother anymore because it just doesn't work on me. I just tell them to bugger off. I'm just like, get out of it. I'll get Archangel Michael to kick your ass. Leave now. And they just go because they don't have any effect on me. But people who are vulnerable to these beings are going to be frightened. Now, let's look at number 6. Extreme cases of various types of mental health conditions may attract demonic attention because the person can be living in a low energy, a low mental or a low emotional state. Because they've got large pools of negative energy built up, whether it's emotions or traumas or they've got addictions. Remember, I'm not a mental health professional, but I'm just purely speaking about this from an energetic perspective. I know how these entities work on an energy level. They are energy. They will get close to people who have mental health conditions because they're vulnerable. Whatever life traumas people with mental health conditions have gone through, they are vulnerable in different ways. My mum, I can talk about it because she's not here now and Dad's not here either. They're probably listening to me on the other side. God love him, Dad would be shaking his head. He never did like me talking about the paranormal. My mother had very strong mental health issues and she used to talk about the little man that lived in the air vent if she didn't take her medication. I think sometimes they would trigger her not to take her medication because she would do things like throw all the clocks out the window because she thought they were bombs. Now, did she actually think they were bombs, or did the demonic entities plant those thoughts in her mind to then get her to create negative emotions like fear, paranoia, anxiety? They really are cheeky, I won't use the swear words, they really are cheeky beings, these demonic entities. They want us in a low state and they will do whatever they can to get us there. So number 7, working in the energy world. Now, this can be any type of energy worker. I don't like using the word healer. I don't believe in that word. I believe people heal themselves with some help of energy workers. So any type of energy work, whether it's Reiki or sound healing or crystal bowl healing or crystal spiritual hypnosis or anything that involves working with the energy of a person, is going to trigger these entities. They see us as a threat because we are aware of them. We are working in their reality, their energy world, not talking the dark realm. Demons are around us 24/7. They watch, they observe, they have clipboards, they're ticking off what your vulnerability is. That's just how I see it. I have to make it funny, otherwise in the early days it was a little bit stressful. So I found these ways to cope. This is what I've written down. They don't like their well-laid plans in locations specifically, being disturbed. Now, this is mainly by beginners or wannabes. A lot of these beginners go into energy work with ego. A lot of teachers of energy work, this is bad. Like, seriously, this is bad. And I can give this example from a house healing perspective. A lot of teachers don't warn their students about the negative nature of some of this energy work. I've had a lot of house healing students come to me going, I had to do this as an assignment and I went into this house and I feel really sick now, can't sleep. I had one dear friend, call him Fred. Fred and I were on Facebook one night and we were just having a chat. Fred lives on the other side of the world in the Northern Hemisphere and I'm in Tasmania, Australia, right at the bottom of the world. Fred stopped communicating. I'm like, that's weird. We're in the middle of a conversation. He's just gone. His wife comes on and says, oh my God, he's just passed out. I'm ringing the ambulance. And Fred's like, tell Anna, get Anna to have a look. I need Anna to have a look. So his wife said, he wants you to have a look, but I said, yes, ring the ambulance, get the ambulance there. Fred had been psychically attacked because Fred was a house healing student. Now, often house healing students or some other types of energy workers aren't warned about the demonic beings. Now, I know I'm getting a bit irate, but I get irate about this. It makes me a little bit angry because people aren't warned about the power of these demonic entities. They think, I'll be right, they won't bother with me. You go into a location that they've been inhabiting for, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Time doesn't really matter anyway. It's the type of vibration that they're attached to in that location. They do not want to be moved out. They do not. I am very specific about the way I enter properties, is that I will stand at the front door. I have a floor plan. I stand at the front door. Bit OCD, but it works for me and they know I'm coming. I stand at the front door. And I say, I have been professionally employed by, whatever the owner's name is, to enter this address. You will not be hurt or harmed in any way. You just need to move house. So they can't kick up a stink. I'm not going in there willy-nilly, guns blazing. I am announcing that they need to move house. And spirits generally don't move house. I help them transition if that's what they want. Elementals go back outside. Dark and demonic beings need to move house. And I actually don't do anything with them. People go, you shouldn't deal with demons. All I do is remove their food. You take away their food source, they're not going to hang around. Say they like loneliness. I give this example all the time. They love loneliness. That is what they feed off. It is their favourite food. Take away all the loneliness. Remove it from the home. Send it off to the universe to be recycled. And they're going to go, what are we going to do now? I'm just going to have to go somewhere else where there's loneliness. I don't deal with the demons. You don't have to. I remove their food source. Does take a while to unpack sometimes, especially if there's trauma imprints, death, bloodshed, overdose, suicide energy in the home. Now, number 8. This is a really stupid one, but I'm going to mention it anyway. Calling out demons. Being rude or degrading them during, say, paranormal investigations, that will definitely get their attention. They will be on you like a rocket. We do not need to be rude to them. They are powerful. And believe me, there are bajillions of them. I know that's not a word, but there's a lot of them, and you do not want to upset them. I did in the early days. I learned my lesson very quickly. When I had a Legion General come through my kitchen wall, I've talked about this in other episodes, I saw the big horn, big black horn, cloven hoof, red body, sort of a red arm coming through this, I don't know, I suppose it was a portal. I call it a rip in time on my kitchen wall. I'm looking at it going, oh, I'm in trouble. I made an instant, humble apology, no ego involved. I apologised for getting involved with a particular woman here where I live who'd been given demons a hard time. I went there innocently to help her in the early days. She didn't want help. She just wanted to call them out, be rude, fight them, demon slaying. You can't approach these beings that way. It is going to get you in big trouble and it may kill you. Now, so I know I'm sounding dramatic, but they will just keep at you until you are removed from the earth reality. So 9, not having any religious or spiritual beliefs and a strong relationship with God or Jesus, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Muhammad, Buddha, whoever it is that is your religious beacon in your faith, if you don't have a higher vibrational supporter of some sort, you can be left open because you're not under the protection of a higher source. Now, when you have this protection of a higher source, it does protect you, but it also depends on your behaviour. So if you've got the protection of God and you're calling out demons, well, they're still going to give you a hard time because God will not tolerate you being disrespectful and rude. So it's all about being respectful, having some sort of higher vibrational support network. Now this one, number 10. The temptation of sparkly things, the wants, those strong desires for stuff, things, items, fancy cars, fancy homes, fancy clothes, being popular. All that is going to bring demons close to you because they're the ones that deliver it a lot of the time. If you're living a humble, I want to say God-centered, but not everybody is going to believe in God in whichever form high vibrational energy is for you. If you're not living a humble life and you're always wanting, desiring, all the stuff in the world that really doesn't make you happy, you think it does, but it doesn't really, you just become, I just want to say, smothered with stuff. And sometimes people do that to avoid their issues in their life, to avoid their traumas, to avoid their experiences. They literally collect things. Yes, hoarding, but not necessarily hoarding. Sometimes people think that things are going to bring them pleasure, but quite often it's the simple things like going outside, going to the beach, being with friends and family, all the stuff that doesn't cost anything, basically. That's living the humble life. Now, I have a few things. I'm not saying don't have stuff. But if you're really lusting after things, that's going to bring demons to you. That's going to bring them going, rubbing their little hands together going, we can get her. She wants that shiny red car. What can we offer her in exchange? So you may get the car. You may make a deal for, I don't know, you'll do something for them if you get that car. Well, don't do it. Don't ever do it. No. Just don't do it because you are making a deal, a contract that you cannot get out of unless you find yourself an energy worker to help you unpack it and work with God to neutralise it and remove it. Now, number 11, demons can tempt you to sin, which is similar to what we talked about in number 10. But it's not necessarily always stuff. It's not the things. It's not the material things. They know what your triggers are. So everyone's triggers are different, and I'm not going to go into all that. We can all think of things that trigger us and how we could easily solve that problem. I don't think anything is ever meant to be easily solved. We have to go through the work. We have to learn from it. That is the path to that true understanding. It just is. It's just the way it is. So be aware your beliefs. your spiritual beliefs, your religious beliefs, your family's beliefs. Because these beings, they will trigger you to sin. They will corner you, bully you, and intimidate you, and basically want you to fail so that they can then pick up all the pieces and possibly tempt you in other ways with sparkly things. It's all very complicated. We just have to be aware. My friend Leslie, Reverend Mother Leslie, calls it spiritual discernment. You have to know when the demons are up to. It is simply understanding them. It's not interacting with them. It's not having conversations with them. It's observing. That's not me. What's triggering me to do that? So now we're going to look at 13. And don't ask me why it's 13. It just turned out that way. I think that's a little demonic giggle that came up. 13 not so obvious possibilities. And for some people, some of these may cross into the obvious category, but I've tried to separate them as things that are really obvious and things that might be a little bit underlying. Now, number 1, spending a lot of time around death, being darkness orientated, or having a fascination with death, dying, or loitering in cemeteries. Now, you might think that's a bit odd, but there are a lot of people out there, and I think about death all the time. They're fascinated by death and darkness as well. Some of them want to know what entities are. What are demons? How do they work? What can I get from them? What can they do with me? Can I become one? Oh, I see all these things on Reddit and other forums, and people have actually said them to me sometimes, and I'm like, really? Do you think they're going to give you what you want? Oh, yeah. Before continuing our spooky content, I'm excited to announce that you can now text my podcast. Yes, indeed. With a question or a comment, or even suggest a paranormal topic for a future episode. The feature doesn't allow me to respond to your text, but I will indeed give you a shout out in a future episode. And if you're interested in leaving a text, you'll find the text link in the show notes. So let's get back to our episode. Do you think you're going to have to pay them anything back? Nah, they'll just do it for me. These beings are not stupid. There's always an exchange. It's what I'm trying to say. There's always an exchange for everything you do in life. You want something, you have to pay in some way. Cause and effect. If you find yourself thinking about death a lot, is it related to grief? Is it related to the loss of someone? Do you need to talk about it? Do you need to see a counsellor? Do you need to get on the phone and talk to someone at Lifeline? Communication is so important to understand why we do certain things. Okay, now number two. Number 2 came up for me in the last few years. Repeated episodes of bloodshed, and I need to define that for you. Not my bloodshed, but what I'm finding in people's homes. Demonic entities get close to people when there's a lot of bloodshed in homes. Now, this can be generally through extreme trauma. Remember, the trauma imprints are the actions. Not to say, now this is interesting, I had to think about this, so I didn't want to frighten people. Not to say that the build-up of bloodshed in hospitals, for example, would attract demonic entities. People go in, they've got to have operations. Obviously, there's going to be bloodshed. It's the trauma that comes with the bloodshed. Or people are in such low mental states, or they've got mental health conditions, and they just get to the stage where it's all too hard and they're thinking about self-harming. That's the type of bloodshed build-up that I'm talking about. I will say, though, I do try to avoid hospitals. Demons are in hospitals. It is just a thing. I had a friend who had cancer within the last few years. And as much as I wanted to go and see her in hospital, I didn't at the same time, because demons used to trigger me a lot, and I would feel wonky, couldn't walk straight. Remember, they will trigger you and attack you in the ways you're most vulnerable. So walking for me in the early days was a trigger. But anyway, I got through and I got into the hospital and I went to see my friend, and I had to stand out in the hallway a few times because the doctors, nurses, doing their thing with my friend. And oh my God, the entities that were in hospitals. I think I stayed for maybe half an hour, and I said to her, look, how about I ring you tonight on the phone? I mean, I can still feel them through the phone call, but not as much as actually being physically in the location. Now, those entities would have possibly been feeling triggered by the fact that there was an energy worker in their location where they're feeding off pain, trauma, anxiety, grief, sadness, type emotions. Now, number 3, this one, Oh, the people you hang around with or socialize with. Now, this will get you thinking about your friends. We all know the energy vampires. We all have one or two or three. Or the person that hangs on to you and dumps all their emotional baggage onto you and they walk away feeling great and you're left with all their demons and all their emotions because that person's caught it into you and used you as their garbage dump to get rid of all their stuff they don't want. These are toxic people. So really be careful about the people that you hang around with. And as much as I'm talking about the energy vampires, it can also be group behaviours, actions and activities, if of a negative nature. If your bunch of friends are doing something that you feel goes against your morals, ethics and values, don't be part of it. Walk away. You're better off losing a few friends than getting involved in something that's going to get you in trouble, possibly with the cops, or physically or mentally or emotionally, or you've now got demons following you because you've done something you didn't want to do and you've got all those emotions building up because you're part of something that's triggered you and has made you feel like you're a bad person, and we're going to head all down that mental health track. Number 4, this is what I find in homes a lot. Now, it's the type of viewing. I call it detrimental viewing. Now, I find detrimental viewing in homes quite a lot. Homes tell me a lot. Like, it's really interesting when you unpack the history in a building. If you're energy sensitive, and I find buildings talk to me, spirits don't always talk to me. I don't really call it mediumship. Buildings show me what goes on in them, and it's not always nice stuff. Actually, it's never nice stuff. They show me the stuff they want to get rid of. So detrimental viewing is graphic content. I'm talking extreme graphic content. Now, it can be video games, movies, really nasty pornography. This all attracts demons. It's because of the low vibration of the content. Like, this content is pumping out a vibration, and also because of what it triggers in people who are, say, playing graphic video games or watching movies or really involved in nasty pornography. These people have to think about why they're doing what they're doing, because it attracts the demonic entities. There's no other way to say it. I find detrimental viewing in at least half of the homes that I look at when I do property clearings. And I can identify, you'll find it funny, I can identify where it is in the home. The home will show me with my pendulum, and I'll put a little red D and I usually put a square box around it. I'll give you a quick example. This one's not quite as graphic, but it did affect the woman who was experiencing it. Now, a lady in a home, in her bedroom, now I pinpointed the actual corner of her bedroom. She was a little bit shocked. She's like, how did you know where my computer is and about the negative relationship I've been having with this man that I can't get away from online? And I went, well, I didn't actually know that bit. I knew there was detrimental viewing, and my brain goes to games, movies, pornography, but she was stuck in this really negative relationship, probably with a guy that was just riddled with entities for whatever reason, got his own reasons why they're there. And that energy had imprinted itself in the corner of her bedroom and she just couldn't sleep. Once I cleaned out all the detrimental viewing, I outlined it in the report. She read it. It triggered in her to end the relationship with this person. Now that her home was clean, her bedroom was clean, she felt like she just wanted to cleanse herself of this person altogether, and her life improved. And I was like, wow, this is the power of removing negative energy from people and places. Now, I didn't do anything for her personally. I had no permission to do a personal energetic clearing for her. But the removing of it from the home, I think, has a vibrational effect on people who live in these places. And I just think that is fantastic. Now, connected to the types of viewing, now this is a really interesting example. Number 5, the types of books you have in your home. Now, this can also be DVDs as well, but that kind of fits into number 4. The type of books you have in your home. I'll give an example, a really quick one. I had a man that I met who came to me for a reading, and he was self-harming. He showed me that on his arm, and I said, are you seeing your doctor or your mental health professional? Yes, but no, but it's not doing anything. I think I've got an entity. Well, it turned out that He was obsessed with a satanic book collection that he had been collecting for the last 15 years. Now, the book collection freaked out his girlfriend. Every time he got a new book, his behaviour and his personality changed a little bit more to the darker side. And she spoke to me afterwards. He went off, we were at a festival, so he went off to, I don't know, get a coffee, go and buy a donut or whatever. She sort of stayed behind and we had a quick chat. And she said, look, I just can't be with him. And I never tell people what to do. That is not my place. It is for her to make up her own mind. But she said, I can't be with him. These books literally make me feel sick. She said, when I walk into our apartment, I can feel the energy coming out of them. The energy is coming out of the books, but it's also the demonic entities that are in the home because the books are there. And I had a word with him. Like we exchanged a few phone calls, and after the second one, he never rang me back again. He wanted help, but he didn't want help. He didn't like my answer to how he could get help. He said to me he would not get rid of the books. I said, well, how about, he said he had a storage unit. I said, well, how about we go 50-50? Is there a chance that you could pack up your books, wrap them? Can you pop them in your storage unit? And he was like, no, I'm not doing it. I said, well, they are attracting entities into your home. The entities are attracted to you because you've got a fascination with the occult, with Satan, with satanic practices. Like, he wasn't a practitioner, that he told me. And his partner didn't say anything. She didn't say there was any artifacts in the home that he was using for ritual practices. He was simply a reader. But the reading triggered in him some connection to the occult. And therefore, the entities were in his house like flies, around him all the time. He had some demonic attachments personally. They would have been attached to his chakras, meridian lines, his consciousness. They were causing him to self-harm. I had to let that case go because you can't help people that don't want it. Now, I hope the girlfriend did move out. I didn't give her that advice, but she knew what she needed to do. I think she more so just needed to vent it to someone that understood. Her family didn't understand. They're like, nah, they're just books. And she's like, no, they're more than books. So she kept it to herself for quite a long time until they found me at this festival. And hopefully she's moved out and she is living a happy life now. And I hope he is too. But he just would not give up those books. Now, number 6 kind of fits into the obvious, but also the not obvious. So number 6 is the places that you visit. Haunted locations obviously are going to have spirits, possibly demonic entities. Sometimes you'll go to historic places that have been turned into cafes. Now, I did an episode on this, talking about a family that went to a cafe at a particular prison here in Australia that is now, well, some of the parts of it aren't used as a prison. I don't even think the prison's open anymore. They're turning it into like a historic site, which is fine. People want to know the history. But the place will be full of prisoner spirits, and because they're there and the atrocities that they committed and their energy, there'll be demonic beings there. Well, this one particular prison has a cafe on site. You can see where I'm going with this. And the children of this family, and they're only, I think, 4 and 6, could be 3 and 6 years old. The kids just lost the plot. Now, these kids are very psychic. Not every child is going to react in the same way. And the father messaged me and went, I don't know what's going on, but both the kids have lost the plot. Won't sleep, wetting the bed, yelling, screaming, throwing things, which is not the children's normal behaviour. We worked out where they'd been. I'd asked a few questions. And we'd worked out where they'd been. And he went, oh, yeah, we just went to this cafe. We wanted to check out. I went, okay, where was the cafe? Because I had in my head historic site. And he identified it as this particular prison. Well, when I looked in the home, I didn't even need to check the kids out. In the home, there were, I think, 3 or 4 prisoner spirits. Now, they weren't doing any harm. They were simply there because the oldest of the children was very, very psychic, and they thought that she could help them, I suppose, get to the light, leave the earth reality. And I mean, a 6-year-old is not going to do energy work. They're going to be frightened, or they're going to observe and go, Daddy, I can see that. And Dad doesn't believe in any of this, but he rings me every time. God loving me, rings me every time there's something paranormal going on, because he knows I'm going to understand and not judge him. There's never any laughing at my end. I laugh sometimes when I'm talking about these things. That's my way of coping. Or it just triggers all these memories about things I've been through. So it is a coping mechanism. So anyway, these spirits, they wanted to go to the other side, but they're a bit scared because they were prisoners and they'd committed crimes, and they thought, we're going to go to hell and burn for all of eternity. And I went, no, it doesn't work that way. You get to go to the afterlife waiting room, where you go into one of the doors, where you work on yourselves, you work through your trauma, you repent for what you've done, you look at ways you can improve yourself, you consciously, even in spirit form, you consciously make a choice about, wow, did I do that in my life? I'm really, really sorry for that. I didn't realise the impact it had on me, had on other people, and so forth. When we repent about these things, that's when we can work through our stuff, and we are given that golden ticket into mass consciousness to be with friends, family, pets and partners, is what I always say to people. So the spirits left. The children returned to normal, and the dad was like, thank goodness. So be aware of the sites that you go to. Number 7, objects. Now, this can be personal objects such as jewellery, clothing, shoes, and in the home, it can be furniture or fittings. And I'll give you an example. A friend of mine, we'll call her Betty. Betty lives in New Zealand, and Betty had a 100-year-old bed. Now, the slats on the bed and a lot of the wood had been replaced, but the brass parts of the bed, which is the head and the end of the bed, were 100 years old. And she's like, I just can't sleep on this bed. I don't know what's going on. I toss and I turn and I just can't get to sleep. Well, when I tuned into the bed had the vibration of death attached to it. Someone had passed away in the bed, which quite often happens. I mean, it was an antique bed, 100 years old. Your chances are someone has passed away in the bed. And then it's been sold, auctioned off, people just want to get rid of stuff. It was on that bed. And what do you think was attached to the vibration of death? So every night when Betty slept in this bed, the entities attached to the vibration of death were right next to her head. And no wonder she couldn't sleep. And once I cleared the bed for her, they were gone. You get rid of the death vibration. Remember I said you take away their food? You don't even have to deal with the entities. They just go. But just be aware of what you wear and what you bring into your home. If the energy of the home changes in a negative way, and people are arguing, pets are unhappy, you can't sleep, your behaviour patterns are changing, you can't eat, all these sort of things to be aware of, there might be entities in your home that have come in on objects. Number 8. Now, accommodation. This sort of ties into places you visit. That was more for a cup of tea and a cake type visit. But this is sleeping overnight. Now, demons can get close to you in historic places that are now being turned into Airbnbs or overnight accommodations. Now, some of them are obvious. Like in America, I think there's a few prisons that offer overnighters, which I would do because I would love the paranormal interactions, but most people wouldn't, so don't go and stay in those places. But they do that for the paranormal people that love that sort of thing. But a lot of old accommodation is going to have entities present. You go and stay in those places. Like if you walk into a place and you're like, oh, it feels weird. Or you're even before you get there, you look at it online. So we all do the online through all the different travel sites and we look at places to stay. If you're scrolling through and you think, oh, that place looks interesting, I might stay there. And you flip onto a page and you go, oh, that room looks good. And you're looking through the photos and you're looking at the price and all of a sudden you start to feel sick. Could be in the head, could be in the mind. You could get brain fog. You might get heart palpitations. If it's not a mental health issue or a physical body issue, it's just started because you're looking at this room. That's your body going, warning, warning. Do not stay in that room. There's entities present. It's as simple as that. Be aware of where you stay in accommodation. Now, number 9. This is a good one. Personal psychic or spiritual practices. When you are doing energy work or you're meditating, you are opening, now this is just my opinion, others may differ on this opinion, you are opening a portal into another reality. through, say, the astral realm. And these portals usually go through your pineal gland, your governing meridian line, your brow chakra, crown chakra, or your consciousness, or all of the above. When you've finished your meditation, you need to close down all of those portals. Now, you can do some dowsing to find out what you actually open when you do your meditation. I don't hear anybody talk about this. Now, I know this from personal experience from the magic attack that I've had to deal with. If I leave myself open after doing a house clearing job or a personal clearing job, there's holes or there's portals open or there's cording open. The entities, the assassins, the magic mailmen, they get in with whatever people want to send me to take me down because they don't like me because I'm helping people. So I've learned now I have to be really, really stitched up super tight. No cording open, no portals open, no holes. And if I have none of that open, they can't get in. So this applies to meditation. It applies to spiritual practices. Anything that takes you to another dimensional aspect. Talking to your spirit guides. Now, if they're coming to you, that's fine, because I often hear voices around my head, usually on the left, about 30 centimetres, just above my left ear. That's when I get my archangelic voices. Like if I'm not picking up something, they're like, oh, I'm so sick of waiting for her to get it, and they'll give me a hint. That's where I hear it. But I'm not looking for them. If you're going out into the universe looking to connect, you're opening a doorway, and it must be closed. People say to me, I had one lady say to me once, my spirit guides, they'll just do that for me. Now, I know I'm being sarcastic, but I looked at her like she was someone that does readings. And I'm like, wow, how many holes have you got open? Because they get in through your energy. If you leave yourself open, magic can get in if you're being magic attacked. Demons can get in if you leave them a doorway open. Now, number 10, letting a healer, in inverted commas, send you energy. Don't do it. This creates cording or portals because you've let them in. You've given them the okay, like it's an invitation. They've asked if they can send you energy. If you say yes, that's an invitation. If you say no, that closes the door. Well, the door's not even open. It hasn't been opened. Letting a healer of any sort send you energy creates cording and portals. And what these are energy superhighways, as I call them. Now, they can be superhighways for healing if you believe in that. I see it as psychic attack. They haven't given permission. I get a lot of people say to me, Uncle Fred's got cancer. Can you do a healing? I was going to say, big no-no. Can you do an energetic clearing for Uncle Fred? And I went, yes, I can, but Uncle Fred needs to either ring me on the phone or send me an email. I have a conversation with him. Nah, he doesn't believe in this. I want you to do it for him. Now, that is interfering in someone else's life. I know Uncle Fred's got cancer, and I'm very sad that he has that. I cannot ethically interfere in someone else's life. Management, which is your upstairs, would give me an energetic slap. I would be brought down for interfering in someone's life. So when people say, oh, look, we just want to send you healing, you go, no thanks, don't do it. Make sure you got good protection. I've done a whole episode on protection. You can just go to my website, on my YouTube site, and just type in protection, and you'll come up with the videos about that. Now, number 11, we're nearly there. We've only got 3 more to go. Number 11, people who are naturally open with their psychic abilities. Now, these people attract demonic attention. Now, sometimes they can see us as a threat. Sometimes they just observe us. They observe us and they assess us as to whether we are worth their attention. Because remember I said demonic entities are around us 24/7, just waiting for us to create some emotion or create a trauma imprint or whatever it is that triggers us. They're just waiting so then they can get close to us. So if we don't give them those things, they're not interested in us. They will not get close to us. They will simply just move on. Now, number 12, if you are openly afraid of demons, you talk about them, you stress over entity attachment, This is going to get their attention because they're like, aha, she's scared of us. We're going to go and trigger her and then we can get even closer. Just don't give it to them. You don't need to be frightened of them. They're just part of the environment. They're just energy that is around us. You don't give them any attention, they're not interested in you. Now, number 13, we have come to the end of our list. Toxic people, which is I kind of talked about earlier with friends groups, but I wanted to give this its own number. We all have them. Now, it can be family members, it can be workmates, it can be partners, it can just be random people that just don't like you and you don't even know why. I had a few of those in my life over the years. These are the people you need to avoid. You need to have strong boundaries. Learning to say, no thank you, or look, I'm really sorry, I don't have time today, or I know someone else can probably help you with that. It's about being polite, being firm, and directing them in another direction. And this just popped into my brain. This works really, really well. If you believe in the power of manifesting, I've had some toxic people in my life over the years and I'm like, I just can't get out of this. I don't know how to get out of this situation. It's like, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? I just say to the universe, or you could say to God or Jesus or whoever's your higher vibrational supporter, your connection, please give that person, and you say their name, please give that person another friend. I can't be friends with them anymore. These are the reasons. Steer them away from me. Give them another friend that they're more aligned with. It works. It absolutely works. And I'm like, wow, I haven't heard from her for a while. And I'm like, woohoo! I know that sounds mean, but the more spiritually aware, the more spiritually connected, the more energetically aware you become of what is around us in the environment, you tend to attract more toxic people because they're the ones with the entities that feel your energy, that want to get close to you. The demons want to get close to you through the people. You've got to cut the people off. But it's best to do it politely but firmly, and then ask the universe to give them another friend. So, wow, I hope you found this episode useful. This is why I create lists. Lists help my brain get organised. It also helps people go, oh yeah, I can relate to number 6 or number 8 or whatever. So I hope this has been really, really helpful. And the more you understand demons, you go, really, is that all it is? It's not what you see in the movies. You know, that's all fear, drama, making millions of dollars from people going to see the movies. They are simply in our environment to tempt us, to get close to us, to feed off what we create. If you don't create their food, they're going to go elsewhere. This has been really good today. I feel really, really good to be able to share this information with you. So on episode 156, whoop, whoop, that's my 3 years of podcasting. You are going to get the lowdown on, do ghosts hold on to their emotions and their traumas? We're going to talk about this in a spirit way. I thought that was really important because I've had some really fascinating experiences with spirits who have been stuck, trapped, stagnant, can't get out of the earth reality. And I thought you would really like to hear how they go, where they go, how I help them, why they still hold on to their emotions and their traumas. So stay tuned for next week, and I look forward to spending some spooky time with you then. So thank you for joining me today. And don't forget, if you want to share a paranormal experience just with myself, or you would like me to share one of your experiences through my podcast, you can do a voice recording, or you can write out your experience and I will read it exactly as you have written. You can email me at spiritualbeing44@gmail.com. And for information on paranormal house clearing, you can visit my website, Spiritual Being. You will find the address in the description box. And I look forward to sharing this spooky space again with you next week. And remember, life is perfectly paranormal.